Okay, everybody, this is Kyle here again, and today I wanted to talk about falling down, picking yourself back up, encountering mistakes, encountering difficult situations in life, and then finding the will and the energy to move forward and keep going and to get more of what you want and less of what you don't want. So, I think a lot of us have experienced some moment in our life where we've encountered a hardship or something where we didn't really get what we wanted. So expectation did not meet up with reality. You know, I expected to get a really good job. What did I get? Nothing. They didn't call me back. Something like that. I expected to go out with this person, this girl or this boy. And what happened? They rejected me. Or I did go out with this person, and what ended up happening is the relationship fizzled out. All of these things can happen. Setbacks are a normal part of life. Setbacks happen to all of us, or most of us. Sometimes they happen more to certain people, and some people are a bit luckier because they don't encounter hardship. But the thing about difficult situations is that when you do encounter them and you pull through and you reach the other side, it gives you this confidence that, yeah, I've encountered something really, really bad, but now I can keep moving. Now I can go forward and encounter the next thing. And the next time I deal with a bad situation, things are going to be not as bad as I thought they'd be. So I've had moments in my life, career-wise, relationship-wise, just moments that I've had where I ended up doing something that I really regretted, or I ended up acting in ways that were really not good. They really hurt me in the long run. And, it's easy after these bad things happen to get really depressed, to hate yourself, to beat yourself up, to, just be like, I'm never going to try, It's very easy to say that because life has beaten me down, because life has handed me a shit hand of cards, that now I need to mope and be depressed and unhappy and anxious and all this stuff. But the truth is that as long as we're alive, we're going to encounter setbacks, rejections, people not liking us, people not giving us what we want. You spend time with your boss and your coworkers, and you think you're doing great, and you think you're doing a great job at the work, whatever you're doing, you think everything's going fine, and then what ends up happening is you don't get promoted. You don't get what you thought was coming to you was, well, I deserve this promotion. I worked so hard. I did so good at it, And so you have this expectation that reality is going to hand you what you want. Or if I work hard, I'm going to get what I want. The truth of the situation is that reality is often out of our hands, and it doesn't matter what you think you deserve, what you think A necessarily leads to B. You might think, well, if I do A, B is the result, and then when you do A and B doesn't happen, then you might think, how did that happen? How does this happen? I did everything perfectly. Why do I not get what I want? Why do I not get the awesome job and all the friends and the beautiful girlfriend? Why do I not get what I think is coming to me? Because I'm so special and I deserve all this stuff. But the truth of the world is that you're really not that special. And I know that might sound really bad, because obviously we all want to feel special, we want to feel unique, we want to feel like we matter as people. But the truth of the matter is that we live in a fundamentally uncaring universe that really doesn't care if we succeed or fail. Like, if you fail and someone else succeeds, it's not like the universe is going to laugh or cry or help you out or anything. You're just going to get what you have coming to you, basically. And this is it can be very depressing to think this way, of like, that there's no big force out there that is necessarily guaranteeing me a good life. And even if you're a Christian or a Muslim or a Buddhist or any of those religious people who think that I'm going to be rewarded in the afterlife for what I do, you can be aware that within this world, you're not going to get exactly what you want. So it can be tough to face that. It can be really tough to face this idea that, I worked really hard. I did everything I thought that was correct, and yet I still didn't get what I want. But let's tie this back into setbacks and problems that happen. So I made another video. I was talking about getting in a rut. It's like people that are stuck in a rut and seem stuck in their little bubble. And that can easily happen, for sure. But what ties in with being in a rut a lot of the time is being stuck in a downward spiral where everything in your life seems to be going worse and you seem to be unable to fight back. It's like you're playing tennis against an amazing pro and they're not putting in any effort, but they're just sending the ball over here and over there, and you're scrambling trying to keep up. It's like, your car breaks down, and then you get fired, and then your wife wants a divorce. And it's like, when it rains, it pours. Like, everything that could be going wrong with you is now going wrong. It's like, how do I deal with this? How do I keep getting through the day? How do I do it? Because things are not going my way. So it's tough to have advice that can be applicable in every situation. If you've got all these things going wrong in your life, what is the advice to get through it? And this is one of those situations where, you can give as much advice as you think is beneficial. I can keep giving you advice for like, okay, maybe I should, do X, Y, and Z with my wife that wants a divorce. Talk to her, or get a divorce lawyer, or move out, or blah blah blah. Delete Facebook, hit up the gym, that kind of thing. Or, a different way of seeing things, which I think is more real, is simply being aware that by being alive, you don't really have a choice but to roll with the punches of life. And how do you start succeeding? How do you turn around this negative cycle? How do you turn around what's happening to you? Is you have to actually attend to your life 24/7. You don't really get a chance to completely relax in a way where you can just let go and life will happen to you and everything will be fine. Like, no, you have to keep trying at every opportunity, every moment that you're alive. You have to keep putting in energy and effort into making a better situation out of what you're going through, because if you try and be too passive and you let things happen, then things are going to pile up and you're not going to be able to deal with all this stuff. So you have to step up in a way mentally to take responsibility for the things going on around you, because if you don't, then they're going to crash. It's like Jordan Peterson has this thing that he talked about where if you avoid a negative conflict in your life, it's not going to go away. It's just going to come back in an even worse form. So for that, like, if you're having a lot of work troubles where, like, you have a hard time applying for a job and you don't apply for a job, you don't put in any effort or anything like that, then, for now it's fine, but you're going to find, like, a year from now, you're further behind and you're not making as much money, you're not on a good career path. 2 years, it gets even worse. 3 years, it gets even worse. It's like, you can think, I'm just going to ignore whatever's happening, but time is going to catch up with you, and you're not going to be able to keep up with the wagon of time that's rolling in front of you, and it's going to get harder and harder. So the way to deal with some of these negative things in the world is to be proactive and to actually put in the effort of nipping it in the bud and stopping some of these problems before they happen. So, like, to get back to the, man and wife divorcing, like, it's really bad that this is happening now, but perhaps that situation could have been solved if earlier you had you know, formed a stronger bond with her, had more close communication, these kind of things. But keeping on top of the things that are going on in your life is not always easy, but it is necessary in order to get more of what you want and less of what you don't want. But tying it back to getting into a rut, or getting into how do you move forward from a negative circumstance? How do you move forward? I would say that regret is an emotion which just naturally happens when you realize that you acted in a way that you should not have acted in, that you acted in a way that was not warranted by the situation, so, or just did not lead to productive results. So with work, regret wise, you could think, yeah, I should have applied for more jobs, or I should have gotten more training, or I should have networked, or I should have talked to my boss more, or all these different things you could have done, but you did not do. You didn't put in the time, you didn't put in the effort, and now, actually, you've achieved a key that can actually be really good, that you're now aware that you didn't do the right thing. So, yeah, you screwed up. You can admit that, I can admit that, but that's better than pretending that nothing bad happened. You know, it's better than pretending that, like, oh, I didn't put in any effort into getting a job, or I didn't put any effort into my career, or anything like that. Like, it didn't work out for me, but, you know, I'm still happy and I'm still fine. Like, when the reality is, when you actually face what you really want, you're like, yeah, I wish I worked more on my career. I wish I networked. I wish I had made more connections with people, or done a better job. But the thing with regret is that it can point us to things that we should change now in order to get a better result. So, in the job example, regret, feeling this negativity over your own past, yeah, you experience regret of not applying for a better job or something like that. And there's a negativity to that, but it also points you to that, okay, now I know I should look for a better job. Now if I want to have a better outcome, now I know there's some kind of tool that can get me towards that. So the good thing about regret is it can kind of shine this light of, like, where to actually go from here. So, you know, if you regret not networking, now you know, like, maybe I should be networking. If you regret not talking to your boss or taking on more responsibility, now you know, if I want to do better at my job, I have to talk to my boss and take on more responsibility. You know, I've had problems in my personal relationships where I've seen that I've done things that are pretty bad, that were not good outcomes for me, but with regret, I can be like, okay, I understand, and now I know not to do this moving forward. And so at least that's a step forward where I'm aware that I should do something differently if I want to get a better result or a different result. So regret is a funny thing, because with regret, it really points to the fact that, like, the past did happen and it wasn't perfect. You know, what I did in the past was not perfect, but what is the proper response to experiencing regret? What is your natural response to that? What can you actually do? What are you capable of doing in response to that? Well, what you can do, instead of beating yourself up, instead of hating yourself and thinking like, oh, I'm a loser and I suck and this is terrible and how can I do this? How could I have done this? How is it so terrible? If you're just talking about, like, this overall feeling of negativity where I'm not going out and I'm not doing anything else, so in a way, like, I regret my actions, so I, like, shrink back into myself and I don't talk to people and I don't try for what I want, and I'm, you know, paranoid and I'm very shut off from everybody. That is one response to regret, but a different response you can have is one where you realize, okay, yeah, I screwed up. I did bad things. I didn't act in ways that were perfectly good for me, or like how I should act. But at the same time, whatever, you know, I have to still live. I have to keep moving forward. What am I supposed to do? Just like beat myself up and hate myself all the time over what I did? Is that really the best way to move forward? No, and I think most people realize that this kind of regretful action is, in the long run, not gonna get you what you want. You know, if you're having trouble with, say, there's a lot of guys out there who are virgins into their 20s or whatever, and they're like, they regret, like, oh, I never went out to a party, I never talked to a girl, I never got in a relationship, and they feel really bad about all this stuff. The regret in this situation has a hidden healthy side. As I said before, it has that hidden gem in it of like, yeah, I didn't do X, Y, and Z that I wanted to do, but now I know the kind of behavior that I can move towards. Now I know that going to parties and talking to girls and putting myself out there is a way that I can move more towards what I want, rather than being stuck with whatever I've got going on now. Because, you know, if you try the same thing over and over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same results. And that's just, that's simple science, really. I mean, like, you are stuck doing the same things over and over and over and thinking that something good's going to happen out of that, but it's not. And a lot of people are stuck in that mindset. I think probably from a sort of semi-narcissistic view that's kind of inbred into us, that I'm so special and I'm so unique and the world should bestow beautiful gifts upon me and then I'll get everything I want. But the truth of the matter is that that kind of passive attitude towards life is not going to get you what you want, and you're going to end up watching as other people get what they want and I get nothing. You know, you're going to end up seeing, okay, this guy tried for a job. He tried for that job and he got it. Why didn't I get it? You know, even though I was passive and I didn't do anything, but why did he get it and why didn't I get it? You know, why does this guy get girls and I don't get girls? Why does this guy have a lot of friends and I don't have any friends? So you end up looking around you at other people and seeing that they have things, they're getting things that I'm not getting. So if I want to get things, maybe I should do more like what they're doing rather than what I'm doing. But let's get back to negativity and being stuck in the past and regret. The simple fact is that you only exist, or you can only exert change in the present. You know, I can't exert change right now in the future, and the past is gone forever. The past is over. Whatever happened in the past is done forever, and it can't come back. So any kind of forward progression in my life that I want has to take place now. It can't take place in the past because that's happened, or anything that I did that was bad and didn't help me out, that's gone. I can't go back there. There's nothing there for me. It only exists in my memory and in the memories of other people. So you can't go back to the past. Now the future, yeah, I can do X, Y, and Z. I can say like, okay, yeah, I'm going to apply for more jobs on my day off. I'm going to talk to more people. You know, I'm going to go out to a bar. I'm going to talk to a girl I like. Or for girls, I'm going to talk to a guy I like. I'm going to talk to my boss. I'm going to take on more responsibilities. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I think that is actually probably a more healthy way to do things rather than doing nothing at all. But at the same time, you have to admit that all of these things you say you're going to do in the future have not materialized yet, and you're not in that position just yet. Everything that I say I'm going to do is not going to take place until I'm actually there. So yeah, I can say that, you know, oh, I'm going to, you know, really work hard. I'm going to really show my boss that I know what I'm doing. I'm going to really I'm going to be really social. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. I'm going to do this. But then once you end up actually in that situation, then you're still you, quiet, not socializing or not learning new things, keeping to yourself, not expanding your boundaries. You're still you. You're still you, because the thing is, the present moment is where change happens. The present moment is where scary things happen, where you actually have to face fear and you can't just hide. You actually have to do what you wanted to do. So saying I'm going to do X, Y, and Z in the future is great because you probably do want to do those things if you're making plans for them. But the truth is, nothing's going to happen outside of right now, outside of the present moment. Like, you need the present moment in order to do something. So any kind of growth that's going to happen has to happen now. You can't wait. I can't be waiting. Okay, it's not like growth happens on a Tuesday at 5. It's not like growth happens Saturday at night. No, growth happens pretty much 24/7. Like, pretty much all the time you are trying to push beyond your boundaries and your fears and change as an individual. But I'll wrap this up. I'll tie it back into the main topic, which is that what happens when you encounter a setback, something negative going on in your life? What can you actually do to move forward? And I would say try to think of how a person would act if they had their shit together and were really honestly dealing with their life. If think of just like, what do you think is like the most normal and positive way to be living in this situation? So if you're like unemployed and you haven't looked for work, what do you think is the best way to live in this situation? And chances are you can come up with some idealized version of yourself that is doing this thing. So if you're unemployed and you're not looking for work and you haven't even tried putting in work, sending out resumes, you realize that this more ideal version of you is actually sending out resumes. And then once you realize that that is an action you can take, then it's the scary part of just taking the action. Take your hand, put it on the mouse, click on the link for the job, apply. It's the scary part of actually putting physicality into motion in order to get X, Y, and Z. But I would say, yeah, have that ideal vision of like, okay, so this person is looking for a job. If you don't have a girlfriend or if you don't have friends or whatever, this person is actively looking and talks to people and is trying to make connections, trying to make bonds with people. This person is trying to talk to girls or trying to talk to the opposite sex, actually getting out there and introducing themselves. So you've come up with kind of an idealistic version of yourself. And from there, you can put into practice manifesting, trying to make more real this more ideal version of you, rather than the version of you that you can tell that you don't want to be. You don't want to be the guy who never tries for a job, never talks to anybody, doesn't have any friends, doesn't have a girlfriend. You want to be the guy that keeps going. And just to wrap it up completely, I would say there's a very deep philosophical core to the whole notion of improving yourself and getting better as an individual, is that the primal will to live and survive needs to manifest itself all the time in everything you're doing. You need to come to the surface and realize that this is reality and I really only have one chance to do what I want to do. But putting in more effort, trying harder, and not like stressing yourself out, but like putting yourself in fearful situations, taking on more responsibility, actually getting yourself out there where you're being seen by other people is the scary part, but it's the part that's going to get you more of what you want and less of what you don't want. So that's about it. Thank you for watching again. This has been Kyle. Have yourself a great day.